Today on Dear Found Her, we have Elizabeth Gore, who is the co-founder and president of a company called Hello Alice. And as you will hear her describe and talk about, you will recognize why I wish that Hello Alice existed when I started Bump Club 13 years ago. Because not only do we have a founder on today's episode, we have a founder who has a resource and solution for all of you. So Elizabeth, welcome to Dear Found Her.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm thrilled.
Thank you so much for your time. And I mean, I was just blown away when I was sent your information. And I mean, when I say that, I wish that Hello Alice existed 13 years ago. And so I am just so excited to dive in and hear all about it. But first and foremost, I'd love for you to kind of share your story with us and how it is that you founded this company.
Oh, thank you. And howdy to everyone listening. And Lindsay, thanks for your leadership. We all need more of you.
Thank you.
To guide us, and whether it's business or babies or boyfriends, we need it. So I am originally from Texas, where I grew up on a cattle ranch, and had the great opportunity to be the first woman in my family to graduate from college, where I went to A&M, and studied cattle, actually. So which has nothing to do with my life right now, except I do a lot of herding cats, I guess. But my career one was actually humanitarian. So I had the great opportunity to join the U.S. Peace Corps and serve overseas. And then I worked alongside the United Nations for 10 years at the UN Foundation. And while I was in both those service roles, I got really obsessed with how important it is, particularly for women, to be able to earn an income and own their own business. And so while it wasn't my main focus while with the UN and Peace Corps, I just saw it around me, whether I was in Latin America or I was on the continent of Africa in different countries, and where women didn't have either the rights or the ability or the access to have their own business, you just would see the community wouldn't thrive. Particularly as resources like the UN or others would leave. If there wasn't like a strong microeconomy going on, you just wouldn't see it. So it just became a passion of mine, professionally, personally. And when I started focusing back in the United States, I was super shocked how hard it is to start a business here. And particularly if you're underrepresented in some way, if you're a woman or person of color, or maybe you're a US veteran, or you live in a small rural environment. And so I started to really think through and study entrepreneurship and investing, and had the great opportunity to get to know Michael Dell, and ended up going to work at Dell Technologies. And my job there was to understand how we could use Dell's technology to help the small business community. And Michael's incredibly passionate, like me, about small business and how important it is. But I could not get over the notion that women were receiving so little funding, whether it was venture capital, bank loans. And I met my now co-founder, Carolyn Rods, in this process. And she's this incredible Latina co-founder, three-time entrepreneur. And she really pivoted my mindset. She really saw this as an opportunity, because she was like, well, if economists, bankers, investors are leaving out half the population, wouldn't that be a great opportunity for us to step in? And I just love the way she looked at this. I was looking at it as a massive problem. She saw it as a massive opportunity. So skipping way ahead, we collectively got to know each other, and over time developed the notion of Hello Alice, which is utilizing data to give you counsel and advice to both for your financial health and access to capital for your small business. So we launched this iteration of our software in May of 2017. And Carolyn's my technical co-founder. I'm the more sales finance person. And gosh, fast forward all these years, we have 1.2 million small business owners on our platform. And 90% of them identify as what we call the new majority: women, people of color, US veterans, the LGBTQ plus community, people with disabilities. And I will stand on the mountaintop to say this is a profitable customer base. It is a customer base that, if given equal access to capital, they tend to outperform other customer bases. So we're very proud of our small business owner community. And I can say more about the platform later, but I also would be remiss that Carol and I both had 2 kids each during this time. And while we were building the product, we moved in together. We shared a babysitter. It was a wild time in the early days of bootstrapping and kids and tears. And so I'm very fond, Lindsay, of what you talk about, because no matter what your status or where you're at, I feel like women have the power and the prowess to get it done.
Absolutely. And I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because I didn't know that about you and Carolyn. I didn't know that at all. And I think that is so amazing. Like, I would love to just ask you about that. Like, how did you guys decide like that was what you were going to do for your situation? I mean, especially as you're building a company together, you're together all the time. I mean, that's a lot of together.
It's a lot of together. So Carolyn is from Bolivia, but grew up in Houston. I grew up in Houston, but I moved to Northern California, where my husband is from, in Sonoma County, which is 2 hours north of San Francisco. He's an elected official here, and this is home now. And so we were not anywhere near each other. We also got a massive opportunity from Michael Dell to build our technology at a lab in San Francisco called Pivotal Labs. They're one of the best machine learning shops in the world. Neither of us live there. So what we ended up doing is taking this huge risk, and Carolyn and her 2 babies moved in here in Sonoma County with us, while her husband held down the fort in Houston. And we just had to figure it out. We shared a babysitter financially. We took this bus called the Golden Gate Transit from Sonoma County down to San Francisco every day. It was $7 each way. And then we'd have to come all the way back at night and, put our babies to bed. And it was, I won't shy away from saying it was incredibly hard. It was so hard. But the partnership between the 2 of us, one of the things that we agreed to from day one, that our kids would always be our priority, period. And that we would have each other's backs no matter what, when it came to our children. And I think that ground setting was really important. The second was that we were going to build this business, and we were committed to it. And we put ourselves on this sprint timeline to get it built in a year, because we didn't want to keep that up. So, and we did meet those deadlines. They were tough, and maybe we could have done it cleaner if we took longer, but we built it pretty fast. So it worked. It works.
So before we kind of get into the platform, because I want to really explore and have you share with us like what the platform is all about and how it works. And, until really someone goes on your website, I think it's hard to conceptualize just by saying what it is that you do. So I do want to get into that, but you talk about building it and building it so fast. So like, you had this idea and you had resources to do it through Michael Dell and through the lab that he connected you guys with. But let's talk about the building process, because you can't just build something for free. So, so I would love to kind of get into how it is that you made this happen financially, and how that happened.
So we did 3 things, one of which no one should ever do, is we maxed out both of our credit cards. Thank
you for being so honest, though, because
yeah. I mean, you do what you do.
That's why we're here.
I would not recommend that to others. Thankfully, we made it through, but that is a massive way to put yourself at risk. The second thing we did, which I highly recommend, we were very good at paperwork. We applied for a lot of grants. So a very underutilized resource to new entrepreneurs are grants. Every federal department in the US government has to give grants. You have now, especially post-COVID, cities, counties, states who give small business grants. So we got a grant from the SBA, an SBIR grant, non-dilutive capital. We got a grant from the Kauffman Foundation because they promote entrepreneurship, and this was a a way to enhance entrepreneurship. We got a grant from Melinda Gates, an impact grant. So now we applied for probably 75 grants and got 4. And I want people to hear that, because that is normal. You apply for a lot of things, you don't get it. But when you do, it's amazing because it's non-dilutive capital. The third thing we did is we took out a line of credit. We had to personally guarantee it, which can be a little higher risk, but that is also a way. That's very different than credit cards, by the way. A line of credit, is usually lower interest rate. So those are the 3 things we did to get started. Once we had an MVP, then we were able to go out and we did raise a seed round of capital from angels and a couple of venture groups, some women's funds. So that allowed us to get the initial build. And then we had proof of concept to show out when we started raising. And then of course, revenue comes from, of course it's hard, but revenue follows. So that was our getting started track. I kept working part-time for Dell. Carolyn quit her job because one of us still had to have an income and the other had to be full-time focused. And then we were very blessed because both my husband and Carolyn's husband had healthcare, which can be really tough because when you decide to leave. Now there are better options now under Obamacare, covered California, covered Texas, and other things where you can buy individual healthcare, but at the time that was not the case.
Yes. And I got so many questions about that when I had my own company. A lot of people said to me, well, but like you're married and you probably have healthcare from your husband, which I did. Same thing. So lucky.
Right.
And, and I was having babies and you were too. And so, you need to be covered. And, and the question for me was always like, well, how could I start a business if I'm single or whatnot?
Right.
So,
Yeah. And so now they're really like 10 years later, there are options out there. So usually it's federally run, but it's under your state. So I highly recommend for people to check that out. Do not go uninsured. If that's not an option for you and you have to keep your day job and build slower, healthcare is too expensive. So, and it used to be a significant barrier, but now I do think it's getting easier.
So before we kind of get into how Hello Alice works, what's your revenue model?
So our revenue model, we actually don't monetize off the small business owner. So it's a fully free platform. We work with enterprise business services as well as financial services, and we get a percentage of a product sell or a carry on a loan from that enterprise. So, and they work with us because whether it's banks or all the way to Google, they're trying to diversify their customer base. And we have an incredibly diverse, far-reaching customer base. We also, because our platform is so large now, can negotiate great discounts. We also push for equitable rates. So our loan center, for example, we have 92 lenders on it now, have to go through a really difficult bill of rights with us to ensure there's nothing predatory, it's equitable. And then with our credit program, which is ours that we built, we negotiated with MasterCard, just incredible rates for small business owners. So that's how we monetize.
I'm like blown away. I'm blown away because like one, it's so smart, it's so needed, and 2, blown away that like this exists now because it didn't it didn't 13 years ago. And
it couldn't have. Data
no.
And machine learning have gotten more accessible. It's been democratized.
Totally.
I mean, it was so expensive to build, because we sit on top of a major data warehouse to where a small business owner who's a female and Latina in Chicago, and she runs a bakery, is going to needs very different counsel than a t-shirt manufacturer who's just back from being deployed and he's a male in Houston, right? So data allows us to say, what's your location, your stage of growth, your industry, because you need different counsel at that moment. And then also, because we're an equitable platform, we ask your gender, your ethnicity, do you have a disability? Because we can also mine opportunities based on your unique demographic.
So something I'd like to ask you, because obviously you can't monetize something like this right off the bat.
Right.
And I really want to point that out, because you did very similarly to kind of what I did. You built a community and a customer base before
Right.
you were able to monetize.
Exactly
And I
right.
do think that there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there that just get so impatient and
Yeah.
like they can't wait, and and I'm going to give you, for example, like I was invited to a dinner for early stage female business owners this week in Chicago. And do you want to know how much they wanted for the dinner?
Huh.
$500.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's dinner. I was like, are you serving me on a gold plate with a gold bar? And like, do I get a diamond bracelet to go home? Like, but like, just
Will
such
you
a
do my laundry?
disconnect,
Yeah.
right? Like, just a really big disconnect, because
Yeah.
how can you say that you're supporting early stage founders and
Right.
ask them for that kind of money? So I'd love for you to kind of explain how that worked, and how did you get small business owners to buy into you and to trust you in the early days so that you could build this customer database that later could be monetized?
Yeah. I'm reading a book right now that I highly recommend to everyone, called Good to Great. And it's about very large companies, but there's so much learning in there for new founders. And most of the companies that they consider this level 5 great companies play the long game. It takes time, and they're not flash in the pan. You don't see like massive hockey stick revenue. It's like a consistent slow growth. And so platforms, and particularly data integrated platforms, take time. And the people that I think are at fault the most are investors on pushing early fast revenue. And now look, there, you definitely want to be aggressive about growth, but that doesn't mean aggressive about revenue, right? I actually think those are two different things. And so for us, that's one of the reasons we had to raise capital, and not everyone should, is we knew it would take time to get a critical mass on the platform that we could then introduce products to, right? I mean, it just takes time. And the companies that I've seen stick around, particularly through COVID and other economic dips, are the ones who are really playing that long game. And so now what does that mean? It means sacrificing very small salaries in the early days. It means maybe your founders aren't getting paid for a while. It means you have to be very transparent with your investors of like, this is my 3, 5, 6-year target. So it means being incredibly conservative with your cash, right? So it takes time. Your question about trust, I want to answer, because particularly Carolyn's very passionate about trust. We worked really hard to always mine opportunities. We still do for our small business owners, even when we didn't have any to offer. So what that means is go grab, like, here's, okay, Lindsay's has this incredible accelerator. It might be competitive to ours, but you've got to go try it. It's awesome. Go apply for these grants. Go over to, yes, we have tax prep stuff, but QuickBooks is having a discount right now. So a lot of people push back on us that we were moving people off our platforms instead of keeping them in. But we built a lot of trust in the early days that we would only point to products, services, and opportunities that we felt like were viable for your business. So what that meant was, even though we were, moving people, clicking them out of our website, they were coming back over and over. And our newsletter still has like 47% open rates. It's incredibly high. And because the goal is, even if we don't have an opportunity, we're going to make sure you have one, and then it will be trusted. And then we have this whole layer of equity, particularly for women and people of color. So, we're always advocating for our community. We're fighting for them. We go to Congress a lot. We do impact reports that don't generate revenue, but we think they're critical. We're in the news a lot about, waving the flag. We stay in our lane of business, but, small business for women or people of color or US veterans. Or when, 4 years ago, we launched a whole focus on the LGBTQ plus community. And so the last thing I'll just say really quickly is partners. We are not the experts we are the experts in business, but not on the demographic. So we have an incredible partnership with the NAACP. 61% of our community identify as Black or African American. That is not my expertise. I know how to run a business, but what those founders are going through personally, we really count on our partners or the U.S. Hispanic Chamber or Bunker Labs for Veterans. So that's the other thing, is trusted voice sometimes is not always your own, but ensuring it's threaded through your products and services and your company, I think, is quite important.
You are, anyone who's listening to this who knows me and has been here for a while probably can guess what I'm going to say, but the way that you just described your business is really how I built Bump Club. I mean, I would not take money from products that I myself wouldn't use for my child because I was the face of the company. And very similarly, I always stood there and said, I am not an expert. Just because I have the letters MOM after my name, that doesn't mean that I can tell you how to breastfeed. Right. So we're going to bring the experts in to teach you how to do these things.
Ooh, so Lord, breastfeed. That was the hardest thing I've ever done. But anyways, moving on.
The worst. But I love everything that you stand for and everything and the foundation that you've built for your business, because to the point that we were just making, it is a long game, but it's the trust and then the authority that you've built. I mean, you were just saying, like, and we're in the press and we do these studies and we do this and we do that. And all of that together is what keeps more people coming back and more people telling other people to come to you. And that in turn just grows your customer base. Right.
I completely agree with that. And then the power in referral is nuts. I mean, if you really foster a trusted community, they are going to be your number one advertiser. I mean, we are beyond blessed with our community bringing other people in. And they're
literally just gave a talk on this yesterday. I gave a keynote about this yesterday. Yeah. About tapping into your community.
And trust goes both ways, right?
Yes, it does.
We've screwed up a lot. We've had products that people came back and said weren't good. We've had, when you step on issues, you can step on it, and our community comes right back at us too. And they're very honest back of how we can improve or mistakes we've made. And Carolyn and I feel very strongly that you take that on the chin and you iterate and you're transparent, right? So it goes both ways.
Absolutely. So let's get into Hello Alice. Like, yes. I want you to tell us like just how it works from a user experience. Like, what can a user expect? Maybe just walk us through kind of what the platform is and what small and mid-sized business owners can expect from you guys.
Sure. Think of us as your modern day banker. Our number one job is to give you equitable access to capital, and to be transparent with you on what type of capital you need in the life cycle of your business. We will be the first to tell you shouldn't be applying for something right now. We need to strengthen your cash flow or your credit or whatever that is. But the thing that we do best is make sure you have equitable access to grants, loans, and credit. Those are our three. We are not in the venture space. We really focus on small and medium. And within that is your financial health, which is a big topic in the news right now. So how are you managing your cash flow? How are you diversifying your cash flow? So we provide a lot of education and technical assistance that is all free, how-to guides, and small business owners are so time poor that we try to put it in a format for you in that moment. So some people want to go through a full course on something. Some people want to do a mentorship circle where they'll go through something with 30 other founders. Other folks are the baby's gone to bed. I'm going to, go through something learning all night. So we make sure that each of these guides or milestones are in a way that you can accomplish them on your time. And then through that process, we might encourage you, hey, you might really think of a line of credit right now. Here's equitable lenders who we trust. Or are you using operational credit card in your business? So you're earning money every time you spend. So that is really our number one focus. The heart of Hello Alice is the community. So accidental, this is with not our original intent, but of the million plus small business owners, there's a lot of connective tissue between small business owners. So we have the largest military spouse community. We have the largest Black-owned business center. These are all self-created communities of founders. So I encourage folks to really come out of isolation and really talk to each other, get each other's advice, talk about your products. And then finally, I feel very strongly about our dedicated newsletters to you. So when you go in on Hello Alice, I encourage everyone to fill out your full profile, because when you tell us, as I said earlier, your industry, your stage of growth, your ethnicity, your gender, everything about you, we are mining opportunities weekly that are specific to you and your business. And so that's my favorite part of what we do. I just think every week we need something different. We have new challenges that are coming out. Everyone's nervous about their banks right now. So we're doing a lot of education around that. But what you might need as a brand new founder is very different than someone that's been in business for 10 years. So fill out your whole profile, and it allows us, and we don't sell personal data, by the way. Much to the chagrin of many investors, we made that decision early on because we are asking not just business, but about you personally. So we never share that. I just want to stress that. So the more we know about you, the more we can give you tailored advice and counsel.
I mean, I'm going in today to fill out a profile.
Good.
No,
good.
I mean, it's like amazing. I mean, what you've built is amazing. My mind is racing because, like I said, like just so much of what you're doing for founders is really what I did for moms. And that, I mean, it's really just so awesome and so needed, as you know. So how do you, other than word of mouth, how do you get the word out about what it is that you're doing? Because you don't have like a physical product. I mean, you are more of a connector and a service-based business. So, it is very important, obviously, the whole word of mouth piece, but what else do you do to get the word out?
Our partners are amazing mouthpieces as well. So I talked earlier about our small business owners. We call them owners instead of users. Their referral is our number one. But our partners, we really try and promote what they do, and they are wonderful about promoting what we do. So U.S. Hispanic Chamber, their big conferences coming up, we make sure everyone knows about it. We promote the heck out of it. They are promoting a new grants program that we have going, right? Corporate. So MasterCard is a huge partner of ours, not just with our credit program, but with other things we do. We actually help them run Strivers, which is for Black-owned businesses that are funded mostly through credit. But they are then offering, our credit solutions. So we do a lot of partner marketing. Carolyn and I and our whole leadership team, and frankly, all our Hello Alice employees, we look at as leaders in the community. So when they use their voice on an issue they care about, that's another area. We have not stepped into paid marketing yet as a company, believe it or not. We need to. It is time. So we're starting to broach that and learn from it, and we'll be stepping into that second half of the year.
It's funny that you say that, because I referred to the talk that I gave yesterday, and the talk was how to build a 7-figure community on a shoestring, because I too did not do anything with paid marketing at all, ever.
Right.
I mean, after the acquisition, they did, I guess, maybe a little, but very similarly, everything was grassroots, partnerships, word of mouth, and of course, to the point we were making earlier, that does take time. But those are really the most effective ways to grow a trusting community. Absolutely. And a trusted community that's going to eventually transact with you.
Absolutely. Very true. I think so. I
think so too.
We're considered the fastest growing small business community. And, we've put the majority of our funding into the product, into engineering, data science, data warehousing, a lot of cybersecurity. And I think that was the right move versus paid marketing. Again, we are looking at that now as an option, but I think putting all the money into what our customers are touching and seeing primarily has benefited us.
Other than paid marketing, like what else does the future hold for Hello Alice? I mean, I'm sure a lot, and I'm sure there's things you can't say, so I will say that.
Well, we have a big product launch coming out that I'm super excited about, and it's a business health score. So think of a modern day Credit Karma for small business, to where we are literally taking in information about your business and scoring your business financial health. And
awesome.
with that score, though, we are very fast pointing to solutions to strengthen that score. And we're going to encourage every 90 days for our owners to come back and take the score again. And the whole notion there is, we tend to base our business off just our credit score, when in fact, there are a myriad of factors that go into your business and financial health. I keep talking about cash flow, for example. And so cash flow, costs, your P&L. So I'm really excited about this score. Also, I always go back to how busy and time poor founders are. It's fast. And then again, it's solutions based. So it's not like, oh, you got a 70, you suck, bye. It's, you got a 70, here's how to get to an 80 and then 100. So I'm really excited about this product launch. It's going to come out in the coming weeks. I think it's going to be a game changer. Our hope too is that different networks will use it. And again, we always go back to the heart and soul of small business. We really want to lower that 51% fail rate, national stat for small business owners. And we think this is a big way to do it.
It's awesome. So I'm going to wrap up with my last question that I ask everyone, and that's and you probably have way more than 3, but what are 3 actionable steps that a new founder can take right now?
I love that. I'll go, the number 1 is know your numbers from the day you start. And numbers mean cash flow, your data, your costs, your customer acquisition. Every week, be disciplined for 1 hour and dig into your numbers. It will behoove you over the long term. The second is surround yourself with the most talented people you can. And even if you're pre-hiring, that means advisors, it means talk to your customers. And then when you do start hiring folks, never relinquish that to someone else. You as a founder should hire everybody. So how talented are the circle around you? The third is self-care. I feel very strongly that entrepreneurs tend to be very fast driving, accomplished people, and we tend to leave ourselves out. That you cannot run a business over the long term if you're exhausted all the time. Yes, there are sprints. Our early days were brutal. We had small kids, but it's not sustainable. So as you can take care of yourself, you will be a better leader. So your numbers, your talent, and your self-care.
Elizabeth Gore, co-founder and president of Hello Alice. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story. And I am so excited to direct everyone to your platform, because everyone should be signing up right now.
Oh, Lindsay, thank you. It was a pleasure. And I can't wait to continue to follow you and keep learning from you and your guests.